Hello, my name is Deborah Squirewell, and I am a two-time breast cancer survivor. Woo! And coming up on 8 years of being a survivor. Let me tell you my story. In August 2014, I had my mammogram as usual, and nothing unusual about it. I got my little letter, and the letter said that all was well. They would see me in a year. And I said, well, I'm good to go. Tip number one, get your annual mammograms. And then in November, I traveled to Virginia Beach for Thanksgiving. And while I was getting dressed, getting ready for Thanksgiving meal, I felt a lump in my left breast. Tip number two, ladies, do your self-exam. And take note, just in August, I had a mammogram that said all was well. And here we are 3 months later, and I'm finding a lump in my breast. I was a little alarmed, but not overly alarmed. I figured, well, when I get back home to High Point, I'd call my doctor. And indeed, that's what I did. And so she ordered ultrasound and a biopsy. And on New Year's Eve, I got the news that no woman wants to hear. And the surgeon said, Deborah, you have cancer. She said, but I've got good news and I've got bad news. Of course, the bad news is cancer. The good news is that it's stage 2. Well, I didn't know a thing about cancer, so what does stage 2 mean? And so what that meant was it was contained in my left breast and it had not moved to other areas of my body. So that was indeed a good thing. And she asked me if I had any questions. And I was so overwhelmed by the C word that I had questions, but I could not speak. I couldn't speak. I couldn't voice them. Those questions didn't have a voice. And finally, as I sat there, a peace came over me. And I said, my God's got this. Now, what do we do next? So in January, I had a mastectomy, total removal of my left breast. And after the surgery and the healing, I was fitted for a prosthesis. I named the prosthesis Puff Patty. And of course, Puff Patty and I are bosom buddies. Now, then came 24 weeks of chemotherapy, and that was the pits, the absolute pits. Nauseous. I was nauseous the first 12 weeks. There was no ginger candy, no ginger tea, nothing. There was always that constant nauseous feeling. I lost my hair. Well, I had begun to lose my hair after the second round of chemo. And during my journey, I did have friends who were taking care of me. And on this particular day, I had decided after my shower, I was going to have my friend Rhonda to just go ahead and cut my hair off. So I had braced myself. I was ready. And so I told Rhonda when she came, I'm going to shower, and afterwards I want you to cut my hair. Well, when I sat down in the chair, she pulled the bonnet off. Hair fell into her hands. It was in the bonnet. She freaked out. It scared her to death. I can't do this. I can't do this. Your hair, I can't do this. You can do it. I can't do this. I said, well, hand me the scissors. I'll do it. So I started whacking. She said, well, if that's what you're going to do, hand the scissors to me. I can do that. I could do that. So she cut my hair. I kept the hair. This is 1B for anybody in need of 1B black hair. So I lost my hair. I also lost my sense of taste. Now that was really the pits. Everybody liked sweet tea, me included. But sweet tea was the pits. It tasted awful. I could drink tea today and I'd have an aftertaste for 3 days. Tea was awful. Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Awful, just awful. Almost everything either tasted bland, it was too sweet, or too salty. Fatigue. Chemotherapy zaps your energy. And so I learned that when I was tired, to just sit down. Don't take another step. Don't do anything further. Just sit down, Deborah. I would call that crashing. And my sister friend Donna, who was one of my caregivers, could see me and say, "Are you crashing?" Yeah, sit down, Deborah. Sit down, Deborah. She learned my body too, to know that even if I didn't have presence of mind to sit it down, she would tell me, "Deborah, just sit down." I also had neuropathy in my fingertips and in my toes. I even developed frozen shoulder. And what that meant was I could not move my shoulder. I could get my hand just to my butt, but that's about as far as it could go. Even when I went to a drive-through window, I would pay with my right hand because I couldn't lift my left shoulder. But with physical therapy, I got through that. Well, finally, I got through chemotherapy. I rang the bell. My sister, my son, and my friends were there. And my sister brought Pom Pom. And so we celebrated as we exited the cancer center. And as we exited the cancer center, we were singing, "Celebrate good times, come on, da 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 da, da 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 da." So we danced right on out of the cancer center. Well, after chemotherapy came radiation. That was 5 days and 6 weeks. 5 days for 6 weeks. Well, with radiation came its own set of effects or side effects. Number one, my esophagus was burned and I had difficulty swallowing. And during that process, I learned something. I had difficulty swallowing, but yes, I could swallow. And one day I was in the waiting room and there was a wife who was waiting for her husband. And she was talking to me and she was saying how the radiation had affected her husband. And she said he could not swallow water. Can't swallow water. And Deborah had to check herself. Deborah, you may not be able to swallow, or you may have difficulty. Let me change that. You may have difficulty swallowing, but you can swallow water. And I thank God right there. I said, Lord, I thank you that things are as well as they are with me, because I can swallow water. Well, after the esophagus burn, of course, my skin started to burn. I mean, like burnt toast burnt. I mean, black, like burnt toast. But I got through that and I completed my radiation. And so now cancer's in the rear view mirror. Rear view mirror behind me. I'm going forward with life. My hair is growing back. Energy is coming back. I'm feeling good. Now, count 4 years, 3 months, and guess what? I'm diagnosed with cancer again. And this time I was devastated. I'll admit, the first time around, I kind of took it in stride. I just took it in stride. This time was like, what? I just had so many emotions. I was overwhelmed at the very thought that I had it again. I was scared. This time I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. That's an aggressive form of cancer with limited treatment options. Was I going to die? it was just frightening at the very thought. But then Deborah had to check herself again. And the same God that brought her through the first time, he could bring me through the second time. And so a peace came over me, and so I was okay. I was okay. I did have to have a mastectomy. So now I've got 2 puff patties. And so all is well with me. I am enjoying life. I have a new appreciation for life. I've learned not to sweat the small stuff. Going back to the radiation story, I thank God that things are as well as they are with me. I think about women who were on the same journey with me, who are not here to tell their story. And so I'm thankful to God that I am still here to tell my story and to share with women the importance of taking care of yourself. Get your annual mammogram, check your breasts each month. Get Boo to check your breasts. You know, whatever it takes for you to take care of you. Uh, you know, after you go through an experience, you try to make some lifestyle changes. And so I started walking. I kind of fell off the wagon, but I promised me that I'm going to start in January. Why in January? Well, I work at the YMCA. Our YMCA is going through renovations, and we're going to get a walking track in January. And with that walking track, there should be absolutely no reason why I can't spend 30 minutes each day walking. I'm trying to eat better. Notice I said trying to eat better. I've tried 2 new vegetables, 2 new green vegetables. You know, you're supposed to eat fruits and vegetables. I'm eating kale. I like that. Kale's not half bad. I like Brussels sprouts. I haven't learned to cook them good, but Longhorn Steakhouse makes some good, crispy Brussels sprouts, and I like them. And so all is well with me, and I am just grateful that God gave me a second chance. And when I retired in 2014 in May. And then, as I said earlier, I was diagnosed on New Year's Eve of that year. But when I retired, I really didn't have any idea of what I was going to do. I didn't necessarily have in mind any hobbies or work that I wanted to do. But I suppose sharing my story with women about breast cancer and what you can do to take care of yourselves, because early detection saves lives. So if my mission is to just tell my story, then I'll gladly tell you my story.
Can we get the hoorah?
Yes, you can. Woo! Yes.